there, YouTube? I'm back again today for another game review. Today I'm very excited to check it out. Cursed Court from Atlas Games. This is for 2 to 6 players, take about 30 to 45 minutes to play, and it's for ages 14 plus. And in Cursed Court, you are going to be, there's a court of people, and they're fancy people, and you're going to be putting your crowns on them and hoping that they get tic-tac-toes and that their cards come up. And yeah, the theme is completely pasted on. But is the gameplay good? Let's open it up. I'll tell you what I think. Alrighty then, we're going to take a look at what you're going to get inside of Cursed Court. So first and foremost, we got a handy-dandy rule sheet. It's probably about, 8 pages, double-sided, full color. It's got a couple pictures, illustrations. Very well done. Should have you up and running in no time at all. It's a pretty smooth game. Easy game to learn and to teach. So thumbs up on the rule booklet. So in Cursed Court, you're going to be trying to gain the most points over the course of 3 years by successfully predicting and bluffing your way into getting points by putting your chips and your crowns on these different spots around the board. What am I talking about? Let's go over the components. We'll get in the gameplay and you'll quickly understand what's going on. So first, we have the board right here. And the board has a whole bunch of spots on the board. So first, you have all these white spots where you'll be able to bet on. And on these spots, you're going to be predicting whether or not, essentially, something is going to happen. So for instance, right here, you're predicting that all 3 of these people are going to have cards out on the board at the end of the year. Right here, you're predicting all 4 of these will have cards out at the end of the year. Right here, all 3 of these. Right here, all 4 of those. You get the idea. So each one of these spots, you're predicting that there's going to be a row or some sort of pattern of characters out on the board. Next, you can also place your crowns on these characters, on the individual characters. And by doing that, you're saying, I think that that character's card will come up once, twice, 3 times, maybe even 4 times, and thus I will get points for those characters' cards coming out. Now, cards coming out, what does that actually mean? Well, there's going to be this deck of cards right here, which will have all the different characters on it. And at the beginning of the game, what's going to happen is you and everyone else is going to have 2 cards, one on your left side and one on your right side. So right now, the yellow person's cards would be this card and this card. The red person's card would be this card and this card. So you're going to have 2 pieces of information, and you're going to share each of those pieces of information with someone else. So while this card is the yellow person's card, it's also the black person's card as well. So the yellow and the black would know that this guy is going to pop up. So they have extra information that everyone else isn't going to know. The black person would also know that, hey, that lady is going to pop up. So he might be, looking potentially for this right here. The key to this game is not letting other people know, making it too obvious to other people that you know that something is going to come up. It's a bluffing game, definitely in that aspect. Continuing on with the components, we have the first player eye right here, and this will be passing at the beginning of each season. So you're going to play over the course of 3 years, and there'll be 4 seasons in each year, which means you're also going to get 4 cards that will come out that are public knowledge. So let's continue to go over the components, and then I'll just show you how it works, and you'll quickly get how it works. So next, you're going to have chips. These are nice, thick, sturdy-looking poker chips, and these are what you are going to be bidding with, because you are going to be bidding on the various different spots that will earn you points. When you place out a bid, you're also going to put your crown out, and this will represent that that is your spot. On your turn, all you're going to do is you are going to bid, or you are going to outbid someone else by going double. And you can bid 0 by just placing a crown, boop, just like that. So let's go over how a turn would work. So at the beginning of a season, what's going to happen, you're going to decide who the first player token is at the first game. So let's just say yellow is the first player. And then you're going to reveal 1 card out to everyone. So right now, it is that card, that character right there. So we would just put it right here so everyone sees it. And then let's take a look at what yellow might do. So they have that guy and they have that guy. Oh my goodness. So they right now know that this is in fact going to happen because this is out on the board. They have this and this in their hand. So what they could do is they could immediately go and bet right here. But that's going to give away a lot of information. So what they might instead try to do is just play it coy for right now. Because chances are they know that no one else has this exact piece of information that Regicide, which the names are stupid and don't make any sense, that Regicide, that this spot is going to happen. So they might just say, you know what, I'm just going to go right here. You know what, I'll just put $1 right there. So that was what they do. They just, boom, put that chip right there, and then it would be the red person's turn. Now, the season structure in this game works a little bit odd. And I'll just, you know what, I'm just going to play it through, and I'll show you how it works. So let's see what information the red person has. So the red person's got her down here. He's got this guy right here, so that's actually really good too. He now knows that revolt is in fact going to happen because boom, boom, boom. So he has very valuable information as well. So he might, you know what, he might be a little bit more gung-ho. He might go ahead and he might just drop $5 right there. Just bam, $5. He's holding down his spot. It could be a bluff. It might not be a bluff. We'll continue to go on. Orange. What does Orange have? Orange has that piece of information, which we already knew. He's got that lady right there. And this lady right here. So he knows that, boom, this is going to happen. So now he's in an interesting position. So the orange person is looking at the board, and he's saying, oh, wow, I have all 4 of these. I know that this is, in fact, going to happen. And so what he might do is he might go here, and he might go big. He might go ahead, and he might just put down $11 and just lock it down. Because you cannot outbid $11 because you only have 20 chips. So you might say, you know what? I'm guaranteed to get these 4 points. Now, this completely changes the game at this point. Because now, everyone at the table pretty much knows that all 4 of these are, in fact, on the board, which means that's valuable information for everybody. So let's see what the black person's going to do. So black has this lady right here, and blah, so they have that, and they know that is going down. They also know that this spot has been locked in, so they might be like, all right, I'm not screwing around right now. I'm going to get some points. So they might go ahead and they might drop, I don't know, a bunch. They might go like right here. And that would be the end of the first season. So what would happen is the first player marker would move to the next player. You're going to reveal a new public card, which is the Jester, which once again completely changes our information because we are presuming, based on how these bids are going, that these 2 spots are actually going to pop out at the end of the year, which now means this is a completely valid and realistic thing that's going to happen. So the red might say, you know what, I'm getting in on this. I'm going to lock this down. Boom, just like that. And I'm looking at 6 points potentially at the end of the game. Now, let's talk a little bit more about how the season structure works, because generally it's just going to go like this. You're going to play through the second season, and then you'll get to the third season, you'll get a new card out for everybody, and then you'll play through the third season, and you'll get to the final one, and you'll get a 4th card out, and then that'll be the end of the year. But when a season ends, is based on how many of each of these colored crowns is out there. So let's go back to this example right here. So let's see, who was the last person to do it? Black was the last person to do it. So let's say instead of putting their chips right there, black was like, you know what? I'm actually going to outbid yellow. So they double the 1 chip. They put that right there, which means the season continues to go because in order for the season to end, at the end of the first season, everyone has to have 1 crown out. At the end of the second season, everyone has to have 2 crowns out. At the end of the third season, everyone has to have 3 crowns out. So let's just say that the yellow comes back and they're like, yeah, you know what? I actually kind of want that spot, well, like this spot right here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So they go ahead and they just plop out 14 coins. I don't know if that's exactly 14. They say, you know what? Boom, I'm taking this spot. Which means now the season's still not over because red has to go. But as more chips go out, the seasons will shorten because obviously you have less chips to spend because this is not getting outbid, this is not getting outbid. And then it becomes an interesting cat and mouse, like do I want to put out my chips early and guarantee that I'm going to get these points? Or do I want to kind of pull back to see if I can get more information? Because the last 2 cards were actually these 2 cards right here, which... you know, that's pretty cool information because, well, I'll show you that. So let's talk about scoring. So at the end of the year, what's going to happen is you're going to score only the spots that actually happen. So for instance, if someone had picked her right here and she did not pop out, because what you're going to do is you're going to reveal all 8 of the cards at this point. So you look at all 8 of these cards, you would normally put them in a grid, but obviously for space purposes, I'm not going to do that. And you would score all of the spots that completely happen. So let's say this guy, he would definitely get his 4 points. Now, how does the scoring work? If it's one of these 4 ones that have 4 pictures, you get 4 points. If it's one of these that have 3 points, then you score 3 points. Now, if you bid on the actual characters themselves, the noble spots, I believe they're called, you'll get 1 point if one card came out. So let's say black would get 1 point because one of these cards came out. Now, if someone else bid right here, red would get 2 points because 2 of these cards came out. If 3 of the cards come out, then you get 5 points. And if 4 of the cards come out, which I've never seen, you would get 8 points, which would be a huge chunk of points. But anywho, you're going to continue to do that. At the end of 3 years, you're going to see who has the most points, and whoever has the most points will be the winner of Cursed Court. That, in a nutshell, is how the game is played. There's also a modified version of the game when you're playing with lower player counts, where you'll have 2 cards, and that will just be private information. So, for instance, in the 2-player version of the game, each player just has their own personal cards that they're going to be able to look at, and then you'll get other cards that will come out as public cards. But that is how you're going to play the game. Alrighty then, Cursed Court from Atlas Games. What are my final thoughts? Let's go over the pros, let's go over the cons. First, on the con side, game's not going to be for everybody for a variety of different reasons. 2 to 6 players is a fantastic player count, but I liked it best at the higher player counts. Now, that is a your mileage may vary kind of thing. I played this 2 players with my wife, and my wife actually really enjoyed it at 2 players. It was a really fun cat and mouse sort of bluffing game. However, I liked it best at the higher player counts, because my biggest con that I had with it at 2 and 3 players was the fact that you just the bidding became a little bit less relevant because there's so many spots to go to and you had so many chips. Whereas in a 6-player version of the game, whoa, the bidding is tight, it is cutthroat, and it's a lot of fun. Now, on the higher player count side, I will say there is a con, though, because you will run into the situation where you'll be at the end of the round, or at the end of the season, for instance, the 3rd or 4th season, you'll be like, there's not really any good spots to go to, so I guess I'll just go here knowing that no one's going to outbid me. So it's a little bit of a tit for tat. I'd say the best player count's probably 4-ish, 5, but I personally liked it at the higher player counts a little bit better, even though I thought it was a slightly inferior game, just because I really liked the bidding of that. But that being said, it's good pretty much at all the player counts, but it is definitely a different feel from 2 players to 4 players to 6 players, so you need to know that going into it. Another con that I personally have with it is mine was actually missing a component, the crowns. So I only had 3 white crowns, which is a little bit of a bummer. We just ended up using a bottle cap, which worked perfectly fine because the crowns are just purely just for you to see. But yeah. Also, the game is slightly overproduced. I mean, you really didn't need the crowns, and the crowns pop out for some reason, which I thought was going to have some sort of gameplay bearing, but it doesn't actually, so I'm kind of curious as to why the crowns pop out. I don't know. Minor things right there. The theme is completely non-existent. There's a theme of, let's actually read it together. The intrigues of the realm's greater nobility are a subject of fixation for the minor nobles whose fortunes could be elevated or shattered. I don't care. Yeah, don't care, you won't care, and that's pretty much the high and low of it. The theme is completely pasted on. It's non-existent. It doesn't make any sense. Why is it a court? Why is it cursed? Hell if I know. This is bidding tic-tac-toe with secret information. That's kind of a really, really weird version of what it is. But moving on to the pros, it's great. This is a great game. Just period. I can very easily recommend this game, and there's a lot to like about this game. So first and foremost, it's easy to learn. It's easy to teach. I will say it's easier to teach than it is easier to learn, but also a lot of people were talking when I was learning the game. But this is a very simple game to teach to other people because it's very straightforward. The hardest concept to wrap your brain around is the seasons and how you might think a season's over and be like, oh, this person's only put 1 crown out, whereas everybody else has 2 crowns out, and then if that one person bumps somebody else, and that other person takes a turn, and then it can be like this little domino effect of like, oh, you bumped me, so now it's my turn, and oh, you bumped him, so now it's his turn. But still, very easy to learn, very easy to teach. Components are great. The artwork's well done, even though it's completely unattached to the gameplay. But I like the secret information. I really liked how you and another person had this valuable information. And it could be incredibly valuable information. And how you use that information will transform the game. I've seen people successfully just not acknowledge the fact that they have a card, and then let everyone else just bid here and bid there and just throw their poker chips around all willy-nilly. Then in the last round, they're like, oh yeah, I'm going to go right here because I know this is going to happen because I have this card. And the other person might be like, oh yeah, I'm going to go right here because I know this is going to happen, and you fools spent all your chips, so you can't do anything. And I like that aspect of the game. I like the components a lot. The crowns, like I said, the crowns and the chips, they're overproduced. They could have got something, a lot less nice, but I'm glad they went for something this nice because it really does add to the appeal of the game. While you're waiting between turns, it's fun to play with the poker chips a la Splendor. Also, the turns are very snappy. Most of the time, you know what you're going to do. You have very little information, and there is very little information in this game. It's like, all right, I have a card here, I have a card there, there's some cards out here, and I can see on the board that someone is betting on this, someone's betting on this, so maybe I can infer that this card is going to pop out. I like that aspect of the game. Is this game amazing and is it going to blow anybody's mind? No, but it's a great game. It's very easily recommendable. I liked it at all the different player counts, even though I will say I liked it best at the higher to medium player counts. But I did play with my wife, and she liked it best at the lower player counts. So it's a your mileage may vary kind of thing. Plays well as a game night game. I think this is just a rock-solid game. One that I'm going to be keeping in my collection for the time being. That is Cursed Court from Atlas Game. Completely surpassed my expectations. No theme, but a great game. So that is Cursed Court from Atlas Game. If it looks like it might be a cup of tea, be sure to check that one out. If you enjoyed this review, please be sure to click on that subscribe button down below in the comments below. Let me know. If you could curse a court, what court would you curse? I would curse the Golden State Warriors court because that's both baloney that Kevin Durant went there and just kind of ruined the NBA. Yes, I know we get the Warriors versus the Cavs, which is exciting and it's fantastic every single year, but really it just makes the regular season completely non-existent because we know what's going to happen. It's happened 3 years in a row. It's going to happen 4 years in a row. It might happen 5 years in a row. Kevin Durant ruined the NBA regular season, so I would curse their court. Let me know in the comments below. What court would you curse? And as always, thanks for your time, YouTube.